What's up, guys? I am back in business. I have taken the last probably 7 or 8 months off, and we have our first official detailing customer here in Redding, California. My new business is actually called Sundial Shine. There's a famous bridge here. It's a sundial bridge, so I kind of use that for like a local take. So if you are a detailing company, I actually do recommend you guys have some type of local aspect to your name. That way people know that you're a local company, not some big corporation. But anyway, we have our first boat here. It is a 19-foot little bay boat or a little lake boat. They do a lot of wakeboarding, and this thing is really oxidized. It's kind of old, so I'm really excited to be humbled and do a smaller boat again, unlike my 60 to 80 footers that I normally do. So let's go ahead and check the boat out. This boat is actually going to be right at $1,000 to do. It is about a $1,900 job, but because it is my first boat and I wanted to book it, I just told the lady, hey, you got $1,000, I want it, I'm gonna take it, and we're just gonna do the best job. So here's a quick tip for you guys starting out on day one, okay? Don't be afraid to make good deals on boats to get your name out there, because what I'm gonna do is I'm actually gonna give this lady the best detail. Honestly, she's probably gonna get about $2,500, maybe $3 grand worth of work, but I'm gonna do it because it's an investment for me. I'm gonna get some videos, I'm gonna get before and afters, and I'm gonna get a really good testimonial from this lady so she can share to everyone that she knows. A lot of you guys, when you're first starting out, you know, you don't have the credibility. So what you have to do is you have to get these little boats, do a really good job on them so that you can get more customers, okay? So if you're at a marina or in a new city, I don't know anyone in this city, okay? No one knows me, no one cares who I am. I've been to a few like marinas and I'm like, hey man, my name's Drake, I have a YouTube channel, and they're like, okay, that's cool. Like, no one cares, okay? So you have to prove yourself, even I do, okay? So let's go ahead and check out this boat. Let's go over what we're gonna do, and then we're just gonna hop straight into it. Let's go. If you get any value in today's video, please hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, hit that little bell notification, so every time I make a video, it will pop up. And all of the products that we talk about in this video will be in the description section down below. If you click those links and purchase those products, it does support me and the channel, so I appreciate you guys for that. All right, guys, so let's check out our boat. This is what we're gonna do today, all right? So we are going to be removing the scum line down here. So this nasty orange scum line, the boat did sit in the water for quite a little while, so it has a nice little scum line. As you could tell, guys, this boat is super oxidized. There's no shine to it at all, and it's actually a little chalky. So we are gonna be doing a wet sand. I don't actually know what needs to be done because I haven't touched it yet. I haven't done a single test spot or anything, so we're gonna actually figure this out together, and I'm actually gonna show you guys my test spot routine. Down here, she took her old decals off so you can see where the decals used to be. We're actually gonna try to blend those in as best as we can, and we got a lot of scum down here that we're gonna remove. So I'm gonna teach you guys exactly how to remove this, and we're gonna buff it out and make it look really good. All right, as you can see on this side, this is actually the sun side. This side's worse. Every boat usually has a sun side depending on where it's stored, and as you can see, the sun beats down this side a lot more. So this side is actually worse. A quick little pro tip is when you're trying to do a test spot to see what the boat needs, always do the sun side first. So see, this bad boy is really nasty and chalky, but we're gonna get it cleaned up. And as you can see right here too, how oxidized this top is. All right, so we have looked over the boat. It's time to get to work. The very first thing we're gonna do when you're doing a wet sanding job is I don't clean the inside at all until all the wet sanding and all the buffing is done. And that's just to prevent, because you don't ever really wanna do a full detail on the inside and then you're gonna sand and get stuff everywhere. So all we're gonna do is just get a nice bath, and we're gonna get the scum line off first. What I typically would recommend you guys use is a hull cleaner if you can. Unfortunately, I didn't have any here and I didn't have enough time to order some, so I went to Home Depot and got muriatic acid. The only issue with muriatic acid is it's very strong and potent, so if you will use it, always dilute it with water, put it in a 1 gallon pump sprayer, and then we're gonna get to work. So all we're gonna do to get started, just give it a nice little rinse off on the inside and out with the pressure washer, just get most of the dirt and stuff out, and then we're gonna do the muriatic acid on the hull, and then we're gonna hop to our test spots. So we just wrapped up our first wash. I got Gerald back here. Today is actually his very first day, so if you see him in the video, I'm actually training him as I'm teaching you guys. The underside where we did the muriatic acid actually did not work, so I'm gonna let you guys see how we kind of figure that out, because obviously the freshwater orange scum line is a little bit different than saltwater, so I'm learning just as much as you guys right now with this freshwater stuff. So what we did was just a very quick wash just to get the dirt and that stuff off, and now we're gonna do our test spot. So I'm gonna do it on the sun side. All right, so we're gonna do the test spot, all right? And I don't think I even have a video on doing a test spot yet. Unfortunately, because you guys can't be in my head, you can't hear everything that I'm thinking in the process, but because this boat is so oxidized, as you can see, it's really cloudy, and because the customer removed the decals that were right here, we're gonna have to cut pretty good to really blend it in. Now this boat is really oxidized, and a lot of the times when you take off the decals, I actually don't like sanding so much where you blend them all in, because you actually have to remove a lot of pretty good gel coat to fully blend it in, and the customer is aware of that. So we're probably not going to make them disappear completely, just because in order to do that, we'd probably have to go down to like 220 grit or 300 grit to really grind down that gel coat. And quite frankly, it's just unnecessary to remove that much gel coat, that much good gel coat. So what I'm gonna do is I have my sandpaper down here that's kind of off camera, but I have Mirka Abra nets, and that's what we're gonna use today to get this boat sanded. I'm gonna try to start off at 800 grit, and then we're gonna do 800 and then 1000. But if the 800 doesn't quite cut out, I do have 600 and I do have 400 in stock. So we're just gonna play around and see what kind of results we can get. So as far as doing the test spot, this is what we're gonna do first. So let's just go ahead and hop right into it. All right, so to do our sanding, we have the Max Shine M8S. Guys, this machine is the best little machine that I've tried. It is a little more powerful than the Griot's G9, so go ahead and get the M8S. We have the Abra Nets sanding discs right here. We also have the Mirka interface pad. You have to have a foam interface pad before you do the sanding. We also got a little water bottle. Probably can't even hear me. All right, so look, all we're gonna do, we're gonna wet her up, get her nice and moist. Real moist. God, that's in there, bro.
Yeah, we're gonna need that one stuff.
And then you want to moist the pad really good. The more water, the better. Right?
Okay.
And then I'm gonna run it 4 setting, and then we're just gonna let it rip. Is this the dual action? Yep. What's that green stuff? That's gel coat. Oh wow. Yeah, we're removing a lot of gel coat. Someone else put that on there? Yeah, no, it's from the factory. Oh, okay. I'll explain it after. Ooh, that's yucky. Tell me when you spray. You gotta spray. Go get me a few microfibers, please. All right.
That looks amazing.
Yeah, I'm cool with that, dude.
That looks really freaking good, dude.
All right, so this was 800 grit sand, all right? So as you could tell, this is all super oxidized. We fully removed the oxidation. So you can see it's darker green, and then the haze over here, that's oxidized. This is no longer oxidized. Now, when you're sanding, the biggest thing you want to look for is that there's no cloudiness, all right? So as you could tell on camera, this is literally perfectly smooth and all the same color. And you can still see the outline. So we have the decal, you can still barely see the outline. But in this case, in this boat, because it's a little older of a boat and it's not perfect, that's money. If you can get it looking like that, we're good. So I did 800 grit, so now we're gonna do 1,000 grit, and then we're gonna buff, and let's see what our test spot looks like when we're all done. All right, so we are now officially done with our sanding of our test spot. As you can see right here, the decals are completely faded, but now it is scratched really, really bad. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna use our Stark Level R heavy cut compound with our white 1.25 pile height pad. That's gonna really help cut out those scratches that the Abra nets put in. So let's go ahead and hop to that step. When we're doing a test spot, we did our sanding. Now we're gonna hop to the rotary. So I have the Makita rotary right here with a double-sided 1.25 pad. And the reason why I keep saying the 1.25, the 1.25 pile height wool pad is gonna cut a little more than a 1.5. So make sure you get the 1.25. I like to stick to the 1.25 wool pads after sanding. So if you're gonna sand, get the 1.25 white wool, and we're gonna be using Stark Level R heavy cut. Let's hop to it. All right, so first thing you wanna do is just dab like this, right? Wanna get it all in there. And our first pass, we're gonna do it on like the 1.5 setting, which is 900 RPMs.
Take selfies in that thing. That's money,
Hey, sheesh.
Sorry, I walked in front of the camera.
Oh, you're good. Sheesh. All right, come check it out. Come get nice and close. Get down, look at it.
Yeah, bro, that's amazing.
All right, so that is our first pass with the Stark Level R. as you could tell, major difference. Now, when you're done this first pass, the biggest thing that you're looking for on the gel coat is not oxidation, because the sanding removed the oxidation. What we're looking for is sanding marks. You want to look for these things called pigtails, but I did such a really good job that there is none. But that's good. That's what we want, right? You could see a little bit. Let me see if I can get it on camera. Right here, all right? That right here is sanding marks, all right? So you can see like these little slice marks in here. That's what we want to make sure we remove. But because I did such a really good job, they're all gone. But what there is now, swirls and holograms, and now these next few steps are gonna take that out. All right, so my buddy Gerald right here, say hi, Gerald.
How you all doing?
He made up a good point. You know, sometimes I don't really realize what people don't know, and this is actually his first boat he's ever done. And he said, hey, what was your question? What is a test spot? What is a test spot, and why is it necessary? A test spot is actually going to tell you exactly what the boat needs to be good or good enough. So what I do is when I come out to a boat and say it looks like this, where it's like chalky and just looks really funky, even though I've been doing this for 10 years now, I still don't 100% know what the boat actually needs. Now, my very first guess was right. It looks perfect. So, and that happens a lot. But sometimes boats will surprise you. Gel coat's different, paint is different. So you always want to do a small little section. As you can see, this is only about maybe 1.5 feet wide. You want to do a small section, go through whatever you think the boat needs to get it right, and make sure that your sanding, your buffing, and everything is going to get the boat right. Because what you don't want to do is get to a boat and you go, oh yeah, this is just gonna work, and then you start from the back and work your way forward, and then you buff the whole thing out and you realize, holy crap, I didn't sand enough, I didn't buff enough to get the oxidation gone. Okay, so a test spot is just a small section that you want to do just to make sure that what you're going to do on the whole boat is actually going to work before you do the whole boat. Make sense? Good. All right, so next on the list is going to be the rotary again with Stark Elevate, and then the yellow Buff and Shine wool. This is going to alleviate those swirl marks, those heavy swirl marks, and it's also going to alleviate usually needing a dual action polisher. So I know a lot of you DIY guys out there, you don't want to go spend $400 or $500 on a force rotation polisher. So if you use the yellow pad with the rotary, you can use just a simple little DA to get the same polishing effect. This is going to remove those heavy scratches that the Level R puts in. And the Elevate is actually going to leave an amazing gloss. Like it's really unreal. With the Stark Elevate, you want to run it at about 1,800 RPMs. Closer to 2,000. That is really fast, so you got to be very careful you don't burn the gel coat. But Stark Elevate loves heat, so you got to ramp up those RPMs. On the last step with the Level R, you're typically going to be around 900 to about 1,500 RPMs. So let's go ahead and hit it. All right, so let's go ahead and check it out again for this step. As you can see, it is looking phenomenal. Oxidation over here on the other side. Where's it at? Come on. Oxidation over here, our test spot right here. So this customer right here, okay, she, we gave her a really good deal because we wanted the job. All right, so we quoted her about 1,500 bucks. She basically said, I got $1,000, take it or leave it. And normally I'd say, this is my price. But because this was our first job and we're new to the area, and quite frankly, I needed the money and I want to work, we took it. But what I do, guys, is I never really promise the perfect job, for that. But as you can see with this test spot, how good we made it look, that is well worth $2,000 already, okay? So we've done our job. Now what we're gonna do is we are now, typically you would wanna polish it out. But what I'm gonna do is we're gonna use the sealant, but we're gonna polish in the sealant. And what the sealant is gonna do, the sealant has zero abrasiveness, but we're gonna use a polishing pad. And what that's gonna do is that's actually gonna help alleviate some of those minor swirl marks that the yellow pad puts in. If you run the yellow wool pad at its proper speed and you know how to really work a buffer like I do, you can actually get away without using the polisher. That's one reason why I like it. But if you are new and you're not running the rotary quite perfect and you don't know how to really work the rotary quite well, you will have to follow up with a polish to remove those swirls. But I did such a good job that there really isn't any holograms in there. There might be a little bit of swirls, but quite frankly, I'm okay with that, and so is the customer. So what we're gonna do now is we know that if we do the entire boat like we just did on this test spot, it's gonna be perfect. So the next step after this is just using the same little Max Shine M8S that we used to sand. We're gonna put a Lake Country white foam pad and we're gonna apply our sealant in a polishing motion. But I'm not gonna film that because we still gotta do the whole boat, all right? So whenever you're done wrapping up, just always say your last step is gonna be the polishing step. Now, if you did everything I showed you in this video and there is some swirls, if you look in the sun and you see some swirl scratches, you will want to use Stark Elevate again on a white foam pad and polish it in to remove those. But for this sake, we're just not. And guys, sometimes some boats, they don't either one, pay enough to do the full thing, or honestly, the customer doesn't even really want it. So there's no sense and trying to make these boats absolutely perfect if the customer, one, doesn't even want it to be perfect, okay? So I know a lot of you guys actually struggle with that. You watch my videos and you go, Drake, every boat you do is perfect. And honestly, the truth is not every boat I do is perfect. But that right there looks a hell of a lot better than 99.99% of you guys out there. So do what I did and you'll be good. All right, guys, so we have our test spot completed. Now we're just gonna get to work. So I'm gonna set the tripod up and I'm just gonna let you guys see the flow. Basically, the way we're gonna do it is Gerald is still in training, so he probably won't be running a buffer too long. And then we're just gonna montage the whole boat and then we're gonna show you guys all the afters at the end. So this video is basically just hey, this is how you do a test spot and I'm back in business. And then, so like I said, we're just gonna go ahead and hop straight to it. All right, guys, so the very first thing we're gonna do just to really start this project is I have Gerald on the inside. As you can see, he's basically giving it just kind of a wipe down and cleaning out the compartments. This particular customer wasn't necessarily paying for the interior of the boat done. We just told her we'd give it a nice little vacuum and clean, so that's why we didn't really record anything. We're mainly doing the exterior surfaces of this boat. As you can see, we're doing a wet sand on the tow rail, and then we're gonna hop down to the hull. On the tow rail, we did do all of the same steps, but we're only doing a 1000 grit sand. On the green here, we're doing 800 grit and 1000 grit Merca Abra net sand, and then we're gonna hop to our level R and our elevate buffing steps. As you can actually, you really can't see this from the video, but in the video, we basically did all of the green with 800 and then 1000, and then all the white we just did with 1000. The white didn't need as much cutting because it wasn't as oxidized as the green. In the back here in that scum line, we just put some muriatic acid and we're just letting it sit for about 3 hours. That was actually our trick that we found for the muriatic acid, was we put it on the hull and we just let it sit for about 2.5 hours, 3 hours, and it ended up taking all that orange stuff right away. Muriatic acid is a really nasty chemical. I do not always recommend using it, but if you need something super strong to get that orange nasty scum line off, use muriatic acid. It'll do a nice job. As far as the hull, guys, remember Stark Level R with the white 1.25 Buff and Shine pile height wool pad on the rotary. We had it roughly around 900 to 1500 RPMs on the white pad, and then the yellow pad, we were running it at about 1800 to roughly 2000 RPMs. Once we were done with all the buffing, we did a really good job, and now we're doing a Dawn wash right here. So right here, we're washing the boat with Dawn dishwashing soap. This is gonna remove off any oils or anything that was like clogging the pores. That way, when we go ahead and seal it up with the one coat of ceramic, which we will be doing in this video, this is gonna help alleviate any oils that were on the surface. So go ahead and hit it with a good Dawn wash to remove any oils and any polishes or anything filling in the gel coat. So when we seal it either with a wax or with the ceramic like we're doing in this video, you'll have a nice fresh surface. After you're done washing it, just really dry the boat really good. Now, what we're doing here is we're just doing one really thick coat of Stark Liquid Thor. In order to apply Stark Liquid Thor correctly, you really should do the primer polish first. That's gonna seal in the pores. And then we do 2 coats of Liquid Thor, and then we do a coat of Replenish. And Stark Replenish is an SiO2 spray, is basically what you're gonna use to top off the coating. That is a true traditional ceramic coating. But what we're doing in this boat is because we're really wanting to sand in, we did a lot of sanding on that green. And as you could see maybe in the video, how it left a lot of green, like nastiness come out. That gel coat is really porous. So instead of just waxing it, which would give the lady about 4 to 5 months of protection, I just did one nice thick coat of Stark Liquid Thor. And that Liquid Thor is gonna last about 8 to 12 months, okay? So yes, it costs me as a detailer a little more to do it, but honestly guys, Stark Liquid Thor is so easy that just doing one application is going to be way better than just doing a wax. So you don't have to do all the steps. We just did one nice thick coat of Stark Liquid Thor, and that's gonna give her roughly 8 to 12 months of protection. We did that on the hull, the rub rail down, and the tow rail as well on the top side. As far as the interior, like I said, all we did was just do a basic wipe down and a clean. And you know, it was kind of funny, as far as being a professional detailer in this case, our customer actually ended up fussing us because we didn't get her seats absolutely perfect, even though she wasn't necessarily paying for it. And it just goes to show you guys that even me, even a nice professional, you could do all of this crazy work, make the boat look absolutely amazing, but if you miss little bitty details in the seat cushions, might have an unhappy customer. So make sure you get all the little details. We are officially finished with our boat. It was actually a lot more work than we intended. We had a couple little hiccups here and there. On the bottom, we did talk about how we put the muriatic acid on there and we just let it sit for about 3 hours, and that ended up taking care of it, which was a massive thing because I honestly thought we were gonna have to buff it, and I'm just really glad that we didn't. But the boat is good. We ended up ceramic coating it to basically to seal in that green gel coat because it was pretty porous and stuff. So we did get all that done. So the boat is actually completely finished, and we are completely finished with our first job. Our official first job in Redding, California is in the books. All right, so this boat was Gerald's first boat that he's ever done with me. He did an amazing job, and I just want Gerald, just because he is new, and I know a lot of you guys that watch my content are new as well, I just want to get his take on what he learned from doing this whole job. So let's hear from Gerald.
Yeah, guys, I think one of the biggest takeaways from this entire boat project that Drake and I worked on was just really learning that there's different levels to anything that we do in life. And really my biggest takeaway from my first ever boat detail was that, you know, you can obviously do a basic job, or you can take it all the way to the max to where that job just looks incredible. And that's really what we did, and that really applies in everything in life. Everything that we do, there's levels to it. So we can either do a halfway job, or we can do it 100% right the first time. And so Drake and I, that's really what we focused on, was really paying attention to those fine details. I know that sounds super corny, but paying attention to all the fine details, even if the customer isn't gonna notice them, we do. And we know that when we leave that job, that we put in 100% effort and we got it done right the first time.
All right, guys, that is it for today's video. If you got any value out of this video, please hit the like button, hit that subscribe button, and hit that little bell notification. So every time we make a video, it will pop up, and I'll see you guys on my next video. Let's go.